So, as I keep saying, healing above regression therapy is actually HART, HART. It is minus the HEART. I never realized when I coined the therapy modality as HART, it had such a significance that everything would revolve around HART, you know. So this was something quite coincidental, and I believe that in universe nothing is a coincidence. So that I realize now, because the more I went deeper into HART as a modality, more and more techniques and more methods and everything was revolving around the heart of a client and the heart of the therapist. Okay. So even the purpose of HART is actually to heal. It's not just the mental health issues, but also the physical health issues, behavioral, emotional, all health issues, everything as a whole. And HART came into existence through a lot of experiences of the client and of course me as a therapist. It was like, as I started doing hypnotherapy, then I started doing regression therapy. And in regression therapy, there was always that, in between life, in between experiences. And the difference how I used to do past life regression therapy and now almost gelling into HART is, I used to ask questions which the client wanted answers for. And the questions were very strictly, prepared before a session. So, or discussed during the session, that is the session interview before a HART session, or rather a past life regression session began. So, when I used to only ask those questions, sometimes I always sensed that there is something more which needed to be asked on the basis of the answers which were coming out from the clients, okay, for their own life. And sometimes I felt that maybe these questions are not the deeper or the most important questions, although the client thinks it is, but there is something else which the client needs to know, and probably we are not asking the right questions in deep trance. So this is what was going on sometimes in past life regression sessions with my client, because HART was not born yet. So what I started doing was, I started leaving the client in between that life journey, and whoever the client is meeting, the higher beings, the angels, or whatever the client talks about. Sometimes even those people whom the client has lost in this life, like the grandmother, mother, or father, or probably a sister or a brother who died at an early age. So what I started doing was, I let the client be with that energy or energies the client was relating to and talking to, and told the client, if you wish to have a conversation, go ahead. Talk on your own. Ask the questions you wish to find answers for. Okay? And be spontaneous. Whatever is coming to your mind, just ask. And when you're asking the question, once it's there in your mind, just talk it out loud. Now, why I used to make them talk loud is because, of course, many a times all these journeys, the client feels that they are remembering it all, but they are not. So for the audio recording, they have to ask the questions loudly and also then repeat the answers they receive. Also, they have to narrate it, verbalize it for the recording. Okay. And this is something which I actually tell the client even before going to a session. And sometimes even during the session, I do remind the client, whatever answers are coming in, whatever questions you ask is now being recorded for your file. Okay. So the client is consciously aware as well of my presence and the recording, and yet is tapping into that experience. of the life in between. So when I started doing that, a lot of answers started coming in. And when it came to healing, like certain clients came with a lot of ailments in their body, and they wanted solutions for that. Ailments meaning diseases or illnesses which the client often suffered. Like sinusitis is not a disease, but if a person is continuously having sinus health issues, this is always clogged, it does create a kind of an irritability and frustration state in a person. So that also bothers a person. So sometimes clients used to come to just resolve all those things as well. So what started happening was, many a times the client thought that these are the questions I want to ask, but when they go into a deeper trance, different questions came. They started having different kind of questions they wanted to ask in that spur of moment. And it relied on what they were experiencing around, what was happening around. So because of that, what eventually happened was, they got more detailed answers. They got answers for which they never came for, and which actually guided their life. So somewhere when I started actually following my own intuitions, that a therapist or a client need not be prepared with everything before we go into a session. When I lost that, when I started not following that, the usual, trend or the standard, that is when HART was born. So that is just the beginning of HART. So it's not the complete HART. Okay. That is why in this workshop, I have always asked you to follow your own intuitions, because I want you all to get in touch with yourself. And as I said, any kind of technique, it's not just HART, any kind of technique starts with a healer. It has nothing to do with what you call as how great a technique is, or how foolproof a technique is, or how much success it has at a world level, etc., etc. Because the reality is, every person who is coming in front of you cannot be treated by the same method, the single method. And I'm telling it here beforehand, not all can be treated or can be, what you call as benefited by hypnotherapy, past life, and HART. There can be clients who can benefit more by other modalities as well. So you have to be open-minded for that. But what I've done with HART is, somehow through the experiences of these clients in past life regression, they started connecting different modalities and bringing that info apart from the answers of the universe for the client's life. The client started bringing solutions by connecting different modalities. Of course, I'm going to talk about that at a later stage, but let me give one example, like color therapy. I didn't know for which body organs, like for stomach, what color is there, or for intestines, or for females, uterus, and for males, pelvic regions, and all those regions, what are the colors? I didn't know about that. Neither the client knew about it. So when the universal divine started healing certain parts of the body, they also sometimes intermittently started sending green color, or sending yellow color, or sending magenta color, or violet color. So I was like, suddenly why are colors getting mentioned with body parts? And the clients had commonalities. Like, it was just not one client who used to only mention colors. There were common answers across client experiences. So, and it's not like they are grouping together, having fun at a restaurant and talking it out. No, these clients were not knowing each other. And yet the messages started coming, which was common. So that is where slowly I realized that the life in between has more to offer to a person. And this is where the heart was born. Now, let me go further. We all know that in be it past life regression or HART, now client sees things, that is senses things in life in between stages, where one is able to see it like a movie. The client is a part of that movie. One is not able to see the images but bodily sensation. One can see flashes of intermittent images coming and going. And some clients, through thoughts, are getting a story through those flashes of images. And sometimes even those flashes of images are not there, but only the thoughts that, okay, I feel that this is happening because I'm sensing this as an emotion. I think this is happening to me. Example I'll give you. Like when a client says that I feel I'm not able to move, and then I ask the question, why do you think you're not able to move? Is there light around you? Or what is happening? So, of course, pauses are given here. The client then connects, I feel that I am inside a box. I said, okay, is the box open or closed? The client says the box is closed. Okay, why are you in that box? Client says, I do not know, but I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling suffocated. It's dark in here, etc., etc. I feel confined in a box. So in these stages, as I said, you can even take the client who has already gone into a past life to a time a little before the time the client was put in that box. The client sometimes come up with a lot of reasons, like client was punished in that lifetime, or the client was presumed dead and was in a box. Because, there are certain physical health conditions or illnesses where you look dead, but you're not dead actually. Even medical doctors can make that, used to make that error. So of course, in earlier times, nobody knew that such a thing exists. So probably they were in a coffin. So a lot of such things are sensed bodily or emotionally. So you can connect from there in the form of a story. So the clients narrate like that when you keep probing questions. Now, in past life and HART, there are more things which come up, especially in HART. So apart from emotions now, when you are in between lifetimes, not in a past life, now you are between death and the next life, birth. So you are in between life. That's the soul home or whatever you call it, the universe. You can hear certain messages, or you feel that there is something auditorily coming to you. So there are certain words being spoken and it's coming to your mind, it's coming through the ears, you have a sense of it. Those are also messages from the universe. Certain clients do not have any of these things which I just mentioned, and they just start seeing colors, shapes, patterns, sometimes abstract ones. Sometimes they see a bright light, it goes back, again a bright light. So this had started becoming very common in HART, like colors coming. So I used to think, what do these colors mean? And again, there was a similar pattern between the clients. They used to see mostly, of course, the source is bright light, white bright light, the source, the divine source. They used to see mostly violet or purple. I mean, it's almost like same. So violet or purple color. And many of them used to see that. So I'm like, why is this color coming again and again? So I started researching more. I started reading more as to what do these colors mean spiritually. Then I learned that while going towards the divine, there are certain stages of colors as well, just like there are stages of souls. There are stages of colors. And the color just before the bright white color is the purple and the violet. And then I also studied and realized that certain angels also have colors assigned to them. Angels like Archangel Michael, Uriel, and all those things. Universal beings. Then I also had experiences from past life where the clients had gone into certain different planets. Planets were of certain colors. The beings they were of certain colors. So then I started associating that probably these colors might not be just universal and the soul. It could also be they are going to a certain planet, but they still do not realize it. So I dig more with questions. So keep watching the colors, keep observing them. So this used to be my usual suggestion. Keep observing the colors, keep watching them. What is the pattern you see? Is the pattern shifting? Is the form shifting? And then pause. Let the client live it. The client will know when they have to talk. But of course, you are not going to sit there quietly for 5 minutes. Then the client is going to automatically come out of trance actually. So give the pauses like 1 minute, 2 minutes, max 3 minutes, not more than that. And inform the client, I'm giving you 3 minutes of silence, 2 minutes of silence. And during that period, close your eyes and meditate yourself, because probably you might also connect to something. Not necessarily always, but might. Okay. Now, application of HART is for all issues, body, mind, and there is something very special which I had developed. It's called as anchoring. I know that certain modalities use anchoring word differently, but I have a different usage and purpose to the word anchoring, which of course I'll be explaining to you ahead. Now, before I go further into more about, of course, this is a readable thing. Benefits of HART is for both, as I said, mind, body, and also at a deeper soul path levels. Okay.